Hello there. I'm Dr. Autumn, leadership consultant, wellness coach, author, and I'm incredibly grateful to be your host of the Align Living podcast. I'm here to equip you with the tools, inspiration, and practical tips necessary to lead a life of wholeness and pursue greater shalom in your life and that of your families, teams, and communities. My mission is to empower you to lead from a place of holistic well-being. It's time to say peace out to the fatigue, fog, and frustration of living in a place that lacks abundant well-being. Join me as we embark on a comprehensive exploration of spiritual, physical, mental, emotional, social, and economic well-being, all within the comforting embrace of one podcast. Well, Cookie, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you here with me.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation. These things are always really cool to me. It's like, yes, ask me questions. Let's talk.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And it's so fun, especially to have you here, because when I first met you as a person, I'm like, oh, I want to get to know this person more. You're so dynamic and fun, and we're faith aligned and all of that. But having gone to your show as a spoken word artist, your release, when you were releasing your new album, and all the conversation around mental health and the connections what's happening in your body, I'm like, my goodness, we're gonna have so much fun talking about this. And so but just so the listeners have some context, I would love for you just to start by sharing a little bit about your inspiration for your album, but even go back a little bit, like, how did you even get into spoken word in the first place? Because I love how you talk about, you use these two sides of your brain in your work. You have this analytical side in the finance, and then you have this artistic side. And what's been your inspiration, and then tap into the inspiration for your most recent album you released, and even how that ties into your story.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let me start by, I guess, going back to how I even got into spoken word in the first place. It
Sure.
was it was one of those gifts I did not expect coming. No part of me wanted it. I was in my sophomore year of college, and I'm not a writer. I'm a math girl. Math and science is my jam. I
Mhm.
also have a love for bringing people together and being that person that creates space and finds intentional ways to, just love on the people around me. But being in front of anything that wasn't my MO. So this church had called me and asked me. There was a local church where I went to school at. They were doing a 9/11 tribute. Big community outreach day that they do every year. And that year, it happened to be on 9/11. And they're like, hey, we got your number from one of your classmates. We are wondering if you can come out and do a poem for our 9/11 tribute to kind of honor the families. And I just laughed at this lady because I'm like, I'm not a writer. You called the wrong person. I was like, I appreciate it, but I'm not a poet. I don't write. I believe you got the wrong person. And she just laughed at me, and it was like a very subtle laugh, and she's just like, "I'm pretty sure we got the right one. You can call us back when you know." And I'm just like, "What
Wow.
does that mean?"
Wow.
So, one prayer for clarity and a couple years of obedience, and here I am. Or not even a couple.
Mm.
There were a couple years of obedience, and then there was the period. There was a period that I was like, okay, I feel like I'm supposed to do this, so I'll do this one poem, and this is it, which turned into, hey, can you come back? Hey, we saw this video you online, and I'm like, I don't share videos. I don't do poems. What's wrong with me? But I feel like I'm supposed to do it, so I'm gonna do it because I gotta be obedient. But that's all I got for y'all. So 5, 6 years of that to finally looking at myself speaking and seeing like, wait, who is I don't know her. And being inspired by seeing the way that I presented in rooms where I was doing spoken word and on stages and stuff, and just like, who is that girl? I want to be like her. Okay. maybe I'm supposed to do this. Like maybe this is more, beyond obedience, but maybe this has something deeper. And that's when I started to pay attention and recognize how it was impacting the people around me, how people were affected by words, how I was being used in that way. And I'm just like, this is for the people. This is great. Perfect.
Mm.
Um, Fast forward, and then I'll get to the second part of your question just in this
Mhm.
story. So fast forward to there was a period of my life. So the last relationship I had was like ended up being super toxic, but also like a blessing. It was like the best and worst thing that could ever happen to me,
Mhm.
in a sense of, I remember in my process to kind of break free and get away from that space, in the healing journey, like, okay, let's unpack the mental space, let's unpack experience, let's see what things are, what the differences were from before then and now, and just try to, like, get back to a sense of health to kind of move forward. And I remember reflecting on the relationship and seeing how it's like every area of my life was like fine. Everything was moving smoothly. Nothing was affected. No, there were no like dips in any other area of my life.
Mm.
Not as far as like when it came to like the things that I did or the work that I did. More so, it's like you saw some character things as far as like, oh, I'm more shy and more timid and more fearful, but on an overall level, it's like, the businesses that I had, the work that I was doing in the day, nothing was affected or by the that period of my life, except this one area,
Mm.
except the area of my artistry and spoken word. So I'm seeing that, that was missing. And so I go from, it's like, okay, when things started off, I was kind of in the jam of things were grooving. Then you get to this space where you start seeing that this person is like fake supportive of it. They're not really like, it's like, oh, yeah, do your thing. And then it's like, oh, every time I do my thing, it's a problem. And
Mm.
slowly, unintentionally, unconsciously seeing how I could be operating at a level 10 in spoken word to like a level 7. Then I'm like at a level 5. Then it's no
Mm.
longer a part of my day to day movements. And just seeing the differences in the way that I move, the way that I present it, it was like, yeah, I became less bold and more fearful, more hesitant, less confident, less confident in things that I said or things that I felt or things that my perspectives and things. And I was like, I think I think spoken word does something for me too, because it was like when
Mm.
but not even at that point, it was like a comparison to, okay, but when spoken words introduced to me, and in the years that came after that, I saw myself grow from this shy kid who kind of just like wanted out of the spotlight, who really wanted to be out of everybody's way, just like, I'm gonna just do the things I'm responsible for, and if somebody comes over here, I'll connect with them then, to being the person that is bold enough to speak against injustice or speak against things that are wrong, or challenge perspectives and environments
Mm.
and mindsets,
Mhm.
and go into places and be the one that speaks, to be the one that, hey, how you doing? I'm Cookie, can I help you? Let me find a way to serve, let me find a way to impact, to exist in this space. So seeing those elements, and it's just like, yeah, I became this person because of the way that this thing was a part of my identity and that stuff. And then it was removed, and all of that stuff, all of the good fruit that came with that was stripped from me. So I'm like, this is something that is for me too. And still in this in the healing journey, in a sense. And it's just like, I get it. It's like, if you think about, I follow Marvel and Tony Stark and all of the things.
Mhm.
So there was this point where I am when I had that breaking point, I remember thinking, I'm sitting in like reflection prayer and speaking, and this poem coming out, and I'm just like, it's like, where were you all this
Mm.
time? So there was like this breaking moment, and moving forward. So familiar with Marvel, I there was this revelation around like, okay, you think about Tony Stark. Tony Stark wears this suit and it has this heart emblem in it where he is able to, it powers his suit for him to go save the world. So it's like, I put the suit
Mm,
on, I'm for the people. But when he takes the suit off, the heart thing is still there to keep him alive, to keep him moving and breathing too. So retrospect, this heart piece of mine is my spoken word. So it's like I'm thinking like I'm just Iron Man, like I'm just out here to help and save the people, however I can aid in the people, then cool. But then seeing this is like, no, this helps me too. Oh, this keeps my heart beating. This keeps me alive. This keeps me
mm,
aligned with the life
mm,
and the perspectives and the viewpoints and the mindset that I'm supposed to have, and keeps me moving boldly in that. So,
mm,
yeah, so there was this revelation around that. And in the process of my healing, kind of going through this place of where my mental capacity was challenged, because you think you're going from, I'm trying to get my mind from believing old lies and identities that have been attached to me well before the relationship, but it's like childhood stuff. It's like you pull up back the layers, and it's like this is related to family and my parents, or my these experiences with siblings, these lies that I kind of believed since I was a kid. So now
mm,
I'm trying to like strip myself of them, and there was this war that was going on in my head. Like I could be, if I'm home, I could be home, but when I'm home by myself, there's like this mental pull string that is like happening in my mind of like, I'm tired of that, mentally exhaust you in the way of being tired of, it's like, I'm tired of speaking truth against the things that I keep thinking and the
mm,
things that I keep
mhm,
feeling.
mhm,
Like it's like, okay, I know I got to do it, but this is exhausting. It's just like all day long. But the moment you turn, it's like, all right, but if I go to a space where other people are, if I go to a public setting or to my sister's house or somewhere, it's like the thoughts stop. But the moment I'm by myself, it was like, this is all day. So
mm,
experiencing that, having a so my dad struggles with, he's diagnosed bipolar. He's 40. Ooh, he's about 50 years in now, but diagnosed 42. He was 18, 42 years. He was yeah, so he's diagnosed bipolar, and it just made me compare like, yo, this is what I'm dealing with right in this capacity. I can only imagine with people who deal with this more regularly, with people who have mental disorders, or who are chronically depressed, or anxiety out the roof, who have other mental illnesses, or who deal with grief, or who, it's like other traumatic things that can happen. I'm like, yo, I had a relationship that kind of smacked me right into, let me figure out what's going on in my headspace in my life. And it's like, not even are they just other people who deal with relational things, but it's like there's grief, there's all of the unexpected things that will come crashing in to our minds, to our brains, and make us shift. So now at that point, now I'm looking at the world through this mental lens of, what is your mind doing?
mm,
Like, are you okay? Are
mm,
is your mind, like, how is your mind? How is your mindset?
mhm,
Like, we can
mhm,
move and do day-to-day things, but it was just like, where? I just want
mhm,
to know how your head is.
mm, mhm.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Actually, I will ask you more questions about your album because I do want to get there because it's so inspiring. But I I love what you said about you have this gift and when you use it, it blesses the world, but it also blesses your own heart. And, I spend so much time like studying the body and understanding a body so I can serve my community. That's what aligned living is all
yeah.
about. But one thing that I haven't really thought about in depth is the role of walking in our giftings that God has given us as a part of our health journey, right? We talk about, physical health, we have to eat right, move our bodies, and
Yeah.
stress management, and mental health, emotional health, social health, all the things. But how much is also walking in your purpose and your gifts part of your health journey? I mean, one, when you find peace or when you have peace, that helps our health in many, many different ways. But I even just think about, where my happy places are. I have to be doing certain things in my work to feel
like it's helping other people more because I'm walking my giftings, but I
Yeah.
feel way more fulfilled. So that's very interesting. I would love to dig into that even more eventually down the road, and like the role of that as it relates to mental and emotional health and spiritual health and all of that. So thank you for sharing that. Something specific about spoken word that I the value and appreciate ever since I was in my early 20s. I'd be going to spoken word shows because I just love the art. Like I think we're all creative because we are created in the image of God. So we're creative in our own ways. But I like to say I'm not artsy creative. But I have such an appreciation for people who are. So this is what I think is so amazing about spoken word in general and your album. So I am a great coach. I have my Line Living community. I will coach people all day long, but you have to be ready to be coached to enter into the space to be like, okay, like this is how personal training works. You have to be willing to walk into the gym and whatever and be like, okay, I'm ready, sign me up. What I love about the artistic gifts and spoken word specifically, and this is even like musical lyrics,
Mhm.
is you will get in front of an audience maybe before they're ready or know that they need something. And there's a way that you can say something through spoken word that if I said it in just like a matter of fact way, it wouldn't have the same power and meaning as it does when it comes through in spoken word or this artistic expression. I think it's words are beautiful, right? Like language is beautiful and there's something significant. There's a lot of things in the Bible that talk about the value and the power of our words. And so I think when people are gifted to put words together in a certain way, that it could take your breath away.
Yeah.
Quite real, right? Something that like reading a nonfiction book doesn't. There's just something amazing about like the different gifts coming together. And so the thing that's really on my heart as we speak is, God talks about how we're all important. We all have a value. It doesn't matter if you're a toe or a hand, every part of the body is important. And I feel like sometimes people, this is part of the mental health battle, is their self-worth, feeling like they're not an important part and that they're not needed. Whereas I want everyone to know you are important. And so, one of the things that I want to speak into a little bit more now, and maybe there is one of your spoken word pieces that you kind of leaned into this topic of freedom and finding freedom, because I think that in this aligned living journey, right, like sometimes people get stuck in a place and they want to be somewhere else and there's this gap, and we know that so much of freedom is on the other side, like where you are getting closer to wholeness and closer to this place of holistic health, but sometimes you could feel stuck. Like what advice do you have to share? Because you obviously went through this journey and have found success um, in it. Like, what are some of the most significant things people need to do in finding freedom and kind of breaking free of things that they feel that are holding them back?
Oh, what are some things they need to do or in the process of finding freedom? I believe, just in my experience, and even in what I observe, a big part of it is is learning who we're meant to be,
Mm.
learning what we're created to be, learning the capacity. It's like, yeah, it's like not just, it's like beyond knowing our identity. It's just like, what were you created to be?
Mm.
And that in turn will teach us our identity, which in turn will give us this confidence, not only confidence, but like a vision to be able to see ourselves in places beyond where we may be right now, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Because if we think back, it's like, no, I was created and designed for this level of goodness. This doesn't align with it. So the most I can do is see myself outside of this space to push and motivate to do the things I need to do to spread my wings and fly. So
Sure, sure. I'm actually going to ask you about what are some of your favorite disciplines in finding like good mental health, because this analogy just came to mind as you were speaking, in finding freedom. When used to do a lot more nutrition coaching, people would feel like I'm restricting them. Like saying,
mhm.
okay, you need to limit your intake of these certain things. Like it just be a few processed foods, this and that, refined sugars. And then they would feel like I'm restricting them. But really, what I was doing was helping people find freedom in their food journey, because there's thousands of things that they were allowed to have.
Mm-hmm.
And once you broke free of why, what kind of attachment did you have with food, that you were in bondage to sugar, let's say,
Yeah.
so that it became very, very difficult. And your mind was playing this, kind of trick on you, saying, like, man, I don't want to live a life of so much restriction, when actually I was trying to help you get into a place of freedom where you could eat to fuel your body. And it's not saying you could never have that, but where it didn't have this level of control over you. You were able to be around food, exercise self control, still enjoy it, right? And so it almost makes me wonder, like, what kind of, when you're in this pursuit of, mental health and navigating the mind, you spoke of, like, sometimes you have to speak truths over those things. Where do you think, what are some of the biggest lies that people tell themselves, or what are some of the most important, like, disciplines that people can integrate to help them on this journey in pursuit of greater mental health, really, when, especially when they find themselves stuck?
Yeah. One of, okay, two questions. All right. One of the biggest lies I think we tell ourselves is in regards to our worth. It's us being worthy, us being unworthy of goodness, or incapable of doing good, being good, etc. So it's like the worth thing. It's like how we identify with being worthy of something better, something good, something more fulfilling in a sense. So I think that's one of the biggest lies we tell ourselves, that we're not worthy, and then it shows up in what we receive, and the things that we deal with, and the things we settle for, and the environments we place ourselves in, all of that. And when I think about, so the next question was practices, like around what we
Yeah, some disciplines or mental health. Yeah.
yeah, so some disciplines. One thing, and this is hard. So because you have to, there's a part of it is, once you learn that you were created or designed for goodness, right? Like, you could have they use it in technology examples and stuff all the time, but it's like, you could have a phone and not know, say you don't know what to do with a phone. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, so you're just using it as like, okay, I use it as a paperweight. I use it, I got this thing, but I'm using it as a paperweight, or I'm using it to hold something up in the house, or I'm using it to measure a table or align something in that way, and more so like by just placing it next to each other in that
Mhm.
way, right? And then you learn all the things that the phone is meant to do, and
Mhm.
it's like, oh, okay, well, how do so they say that this can, if I want to be more organized, they're saying this can help me to be more organized, then all right, let me kind of envision myself in that. So I say that fast back to people. So it's like we could use things in the wrong capacities, but without knowing what it was meant for, it's hard for us to
Mhm.
envision it as something else. So one practice that I've done after the learning of, but what was I created for? And that came from me, like going back to the beginning of, let me read Genesis. I'm going to go read Genesis and figure out this design, this garden design that was attached to Adam and Eve before we ate the fruit, before we ended up eating something that caused us fear and shame and guilt. What were we aligned to do and to be, etc. And it was like, if you go and read it, especially those who are like biblically aligned in a sense, you will see these people had everything they needed. They were free of shame, guilt, worry, anxiety, depression. All of these things were not things that were part of their existence. So seeing that, and then fast forwarding it to my life in the current, it's like, okay, if I was created and designed to not have the weight of these things, then these things aren't things that belong a part of my everyday life. So in a visioning, I envision myself, or more so, it's like now I'm trying to see myself in this space of, if I wasn't designed for fear, then what is causing me? Where are the feelings of fear coming from? And how can I, kind of like combat them in a sense, right? It's like, okay, I'm
Mhm.
fearful of this. Okay, let me go find the truth. Or I'm believing this about my worth. Okay, let me go search for the opposite, because from what I learned about what I was designed to be and do and experience, these things don't line up.
Yeah.
So it was like a stripping of, it's like okay, now I'm trying to align myself with this life, with this person that I was designed to be, in a sense, right? And
Mm.
it's like life abundantly looks like this. It doesn't look like me walking around in worry and fear and shame. It doesn't look like me holding on to sadness. So how do I now, let me unpack and figure out why this sadness is sitting on me, so I can find this life that was supposedly meant for me. So it's like, hey, what are we doing?
Mhm.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I would say like everyone should, of course take a listen to your full album, but as you were speaking it reminded me of my favorite um piece on the album, Grains,
that's my
because you speak, yes, you speak, this is so much about like what you're speaking to, but like just to hear it in that art form, I recommend people go and listen to it because it speaks about, the goodness that we were meant to experience. And yes, there's a lot of hard, but like going
Mhm.
back to God created humanity and was like, this is good, and created the earth and this was good, and of course now we're amidst so much brokenness, but like at the root we can still find that goodness. And so I love that piece, so y'all should definitely listen to it. But to kind of wrap up, I would love for you to talk about one of your other favorite pieces and what like the message is, and the maybe a little bit more like what was the inspiration behind it.
Man, okay. I love grains. I love open hands. I think my next favorite piece, not message creativity. Okay, creative wise, it's dead and alive, as it gives a second person, first person, and third person perspective on suicide and suicidal
Mm.
thoughts and that process and what that is. But I will say my second my next second overall piece deals with grief and heartbreak and what that can do to us. It is called resuscitation. So it
Oh
tells
yeah, I like
yeah,
that one with the
it tells
heartbeat
this,
sound. Yeah.
yeah. And it just tells this story about what it is to miss someone. And the interesting thing, so I wrote this. The first part of this poem was really inspired by someone who's still alive. So my dad, who's still alive, but it's like there's this like, yo, I miss you. Because the dad that I once knew, the dad that I once had, in a sense, is like no longer. It's like, no, I remember this kid, this guy from my childhood who was fun, who used to ride bikes, who used to ask really important questions, and now seeing you as somebody totally different, somebody who can't even think the same. It's like, I miss you. So a portion of it was like inspired by this yearning for my dad that I had. And I remember, like, Father's Days used to be super weighty for me. And wrote this out on a day after Father's Day, in a sense, in trying to, in a yearning, because I know, I recognize how so much of my identity, so much of my joy and my freedom was kind of attached to this yearning for my father.
Mm,
It's
mm,
like, yeah, I don't want to be around I don't want to be around anybody. I find it hard for me to connect with others. I find it hard to open up, to like really, to really spread my wings in a way. And there's a lot of life that I'm possibly not experiencing, because a big part of me is still attached to this person who I miss dearly. It's like, dang, yeah, you can't do that. I want so much more for you. I wish you knew that you could get up from your mat and still do something and still walk and still be, in a sense. And recognizing how so much of my joy and my peace was still kind of wrapped in that. Resuscitation kind of tells this piece of story where it's like, where we're missing someone, whether they're dead or alive. It eventually turned into this, like, yeah, you wish their heart. It's like, you wish their heart was beating. You wish they were here. You wish it was their life. You wish it was their smiles, their life, their breath that was running through some lungs. And
Mm,
this flat line where it's like this, which doubles into this realization of either them not being here anymore, or you getting, or them not being here anymore in some figurative or physical way, to your heart also not being here because they're not here. It's like, okay, it's a flat line, but it's kind of it's of them and of you, because we've allowed ourselves to die off, to kind of be gone with the wind, in a sense. We've lost motivation, we've lost joy, we lose drive in a sense because of these relationships that are lost. And it's just, so then it turns into this like, yo, no, but we can resuscitate, we can find
mm,
life, and we can find ways to still appreciate this relationship, this legacy, this being, this person, and not lose ourselves in the process. So it was like this call to like, yo, yes, feel all the things, but then also be empowered and reviving yourself and seeing how you are still meant, all the different ways that you are being called to live and show up to, so that you can kind of go on. So resuscitation is
yeah.
my second part.
Yeah, and when y'all listen to Resuscitation, you can get some goosebumps. I promise y'all, you'll get some goosebumps. So, but in wrapping up, I do want to ask, you to share with everyone where they can find you. But I just want to mention one thing that just really stood out to me when you were talking about grieving, because I feel like that's a big part of mental health is like the experiences that we experience in this world that are hard,
Yeah.
they're guaranteed to happen. I think most people, have navigated grief, and we might navigate it in an unhealthy way or a healthy way, but there is a healthy way to go through this process.
Hmm.
And it's just such a real thing. And it reminds me of the seasons of my life where I was grieving the most or where I was in a pit. I remember my therapist saying, "Yeah, but Jesus is in that pit with you. It's okay to be in this hard place." But what I noticed was spiritually, every time I'm in a hard place, and I say this to encourage everyone, when you're experiencing hard things in the world, it's an opportunity to elevate spiritually. And I strongly believe this because you get to see God in new ways. When you're in your comfort zone, it's easy just to kind of be cruising along on cruise control, but the hard, even though it's really hard, both myself and Cookie can attest to, like, when you're in hard places, it's not fun. But the opportunity to allow God into your life in new ways, because when you were talking about your father, I feel like, when we experience these challenges or these voids, we get to see God in a new way. You probably get to experience God as a father in a way that maybe I don't fully understand. My mom, who had a very, very rough childhood and at times didn't have love for herself, the way that she doesn't take God's love for granted. The way she views God's love is so special because God was able to fill that gap, and her learning to like love herself and see herself in the way that God sees her. So there's something so beautiful about the good that could come out of grieving or loss or hardship. And if you just open yourself up, and you can allow God to do, of course it requires vulnerability, but you get to elevate in a different way because of the hard. And that,
Hmm.
I just wanted to share that because as you were talking about that, I was like, man, isn't that something special? Like, God doesn't desire hurt or brokenness, but he could take it and allow something so special to come out of it that then you could turn around and help others in that same
Yes.
way. And so I just thank you for stepping boldly into your gift, being afraid of talking in front of people, and then all of a sudden you're speaking in front of audiences, sharing this incredible gift. And it really is a gift. And y'all really need to take a listen to our album. We'll put it in the show notes, the link, so you can um, get the specifics. But any final words, Cookie, and also, well, our official show name, Cookie B. Any final words, or also let people know where they could find you?
Okay. All right. Well, you all can find me at anywhere on social media at It's Cookie B. ITS, you got to put the ITS Cookie B on any social media platform. I can also be found at itscookieb.com. So if you're not in the socials, go to the website, subscribe, stay in the loop. I post there as much as you get enough updates there as well as the social media. You can actually get more exclusive stuff if you go to the website. And then if you want to find my poems, they're on my website. You'll find links on my social medias, but you can also search ccookieb, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, all the little places you can stream. And yeah, I'll leave you with final words. You don't even know the capacity that you are built for. We
Mm,
are barely scratched the surface on our
mm,
worth and what we're capable of. And I just challenge you to chase the life that was meant for you, regardless of where
mm,
you're at now. Just know there is something better because goodness was created for you, just like it was created for everywhere else that you see goodness. So look for that, and you'll find your
mm,
way.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for spending some time with me, Cookie. And to my listeners, thank you for being here. And until next time, stay aligned.
See you later.
Thank you for tuning in to the Aligned Living Podcast. I'm Dr. Autumn, your guide on this journey to shalom or wholeness. Ready to embark on this journey of self-discovery and transformation? Head over to autumnswain.com to learn more and to dive deeper into the world of aligned living. Until next time, stay aligned.